Hello, happy Halloween. For the month of October, I will be doing videos that will be Halloween sort of based. Talking about horror movies, books, TV shows, and a lot of other fun stuff. So today, as you've probably seen by the thumbnail and the title of the video, I will be ranking the Paranormal Activity series. Now, I want to start by saying the Paranormal Activity series is one of my more favorite horror movie franchises. I'm going to go through each of the movies, give a quick review, and let you know where it ranks. But I want to start by telling you I love all of these movies, almost equally. Some I like a little bit more than others, but I do like them all. As a cohesive, full story, it's very interesting. At the very end, after I'm all done, I will go through and talk about some of the issues I do have with the series as a whole. But let's get started. So first up, Paranormal Activity 4. So in this one, we're following a family who've adopted a kid, and just FYI, there will be spoilers, so if you have not watched the series, stop this and go watch it before you continue on. So the entire Paranormal Activity franchise is set as a found footage type series, which really kicked off with things like the Blair Witch Project. Paranormal Activity 4 is at the bottom of the list because while yes, it is very good, in my opinion, it was just kind of the weakest. But we'll get into those issues at the end. So next on the list is Paranormal Activity, the first movie. This one revolves around a couple. They are talking about being haunted by something, and the girlfriend says that this has happened throughout her life. The boyfriend does not believe her and wants to record and get it on video. Next up, Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. Now we're following a different family, completely unrelated to any of the other Paranormal Activity movies. The only thing that ties this to all the others is the missing tapes that keep popping up through the series. In which case, they find a camera which can pick up extra stuff, paranormal stuff, and the daughter is possessed or getting slowly possessed throughout the movie. I really like this one, and I put this sort of in the middle because the daughter becomes very creepy the more and more throughout the series. More and more throughout the movie. The added addition of finding a video camera that actually can record some of the paranormal is very good too. I like that element because we finally get to see something. Through most of the series, since this was the last movie that they've made as of this date, we really don't ever get to see anything. It's all, atmospheric scares. The little bit we do see all revolves around this invisible force, this invisible thing that is going after these people. So finally having an element added where we can see something, really, that's what sold the movie for me. Now next we get into Paranormal Activity 2. Now, most people would have this much higher on the list. Usually they'll teeter between this and Paranormal Activity 1. But I have this here on the list because it's very good. It's a direct, almost continuation from the first movie. In fact, actually, again, I warned you, there would be spoilers. If you were going to watch these in chronological order, this is kind of a prequel to the first movie. So, you would watch, I'd say, 90% of this movie, stop it, watch Paranormal Activity 1. You would, trust me, you will know where to stop. Then you watch Paranormal Activity 1, you come back, you finish off the last 10% of this movie. It has a lot of good scares in it, I'd have to say. Me and my ex-wife watched the first 3 together, and we had not watched these movies at all. We didn't really know much about these at the time, and one of my best memories of that was when we were sitting there watching it. There's this part where this pan falls down, and the wife goes over, she picks up the pan, she puts it back, she walks away, pan falls again. And I'm like, okay. So she walks over, picks the pan up, puts it back. I told my ex, I'm like, okay, that pan's gonna fall again. Nope, something else happened, completely different. If you've seen the movie, you know what it is. I don't want to spoil that much if you haven't seen it. And my ex completely freaked out. She jumped really high when she saw that part. And I'm like, I thought movies didn't scare you. And she's like, well, I was expecting the pan to fall because that's what you said. I was like, I never seen this before. I didn't know. Paranormal Activity 2 is number 3. Number 2, Paranormal Activity 3 sits at spot number 2. Now, the reason why this is because, again, this is another prequel. In fact, if you wanted to watch all the movies in chronological order, this is going to be where you start. And I will go through and tell you, once I tell you what number 1 is, the proper chronological timeline in which to watch all the movies. So, Paranormal Activity 3 follows the 2 main girls who you learn about from Paranormal Activity 1 and Paranormal Activity 2, who are sisters, and we get to see them as children. And it adds in another layer to this franchise concerning the grandmother. It is very reminiscent of the Poltergeist series, and it's set in the 80s. I know how cliche that is nowadays with everything being 80s or 90s referenced. But yeah, this is really good. And there's some definitely interesting ideas that were done with the camera work, with the scares. And it was with Paranormal Activity 3 that I noticed something huge and major with the franchise. Again, this is something else I'll dive into here in a minute after I finish talking about the first pick. So moving on to the first pick. If you're a fan, you know which one is left. Paranormal Activities, the marked ones. Now this one for me is by far the best. It's kind of a standalone movie. You don't have to watch all the rest in the series to watch this one. Although it does have a lot of references to things throughout the entire series, this one you could watch on its own, completely different story, different family. It does involve possibly the same demon or ghost. If you are a fan of the series, you know that it is demon, not a ghost. And it has some of my more favorite moments in the franchise. So that is why this one sits at number 1. Now, I said I would go back and I would tell you what I noticed when I saw Paranormal Activity 3. And what I noticed was this. If you carefully watch the trailers that were released for each of the movies, that there are things that happen or are shown in the trailers that do not happen in the movies. For example, Paranormal Activity 3, in the trailer, we see footage of a house burning. We also see footage of a man in the grandmother's house with demonic symbols around the room, almost like a priest of some kind. I feel like these little extra things that were in the trailer were to mislead the audience or just to be trailer fodder. But if you really look closely, there is maybe like some extra Easter eggs, extra bits of the story that are just shown in the trailer. There's one scene where there's a character who's about to do something, and in the trailer, it shows something happened to this character, but in the movie, the scene just cuts away to a different character. It's like, wait a minute, that's not what I saw in the trailer. Where's that thing that I saw in the trailer? That's when I noticed it, was when Paranormal Activity 3 came out. So the biggest gripe I have about the franchise, the biggest thing that kind of bugs me is, first off, there's been talk that they'll do more of these, which I really hope they do, because I feel like that's the only way to improve upon this franchise. And the big problem of it is that we don't get a whole lot of answers. Each movie has a habit for putting out questions. And sometimes they do, give you little bits of information. Like in the first movie, they think it's a ghost that's haunting them. And quickly they learn it's not a ghost, it's a demon. And the demon's not haunting them, it's haunting or connected to the girlfriend. So even if they left, this demon would follow them. And that's basically all we learned in the first one. Now, we are given more, that there are, something about her past, when she was a child. They find a photo. And in 2, we get some more answers to that her and her sister have been dealing with this their whole lives, that something happened to their mother. And, it's just like every time we get more questions than we get answers. In Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, for example, it is heavily implied that the demon in question is Toby. Yes, that is what they call the demon. Probably not the demon's true name. Probably just a name he thought children would be comfortable calling him, something that's easy for them to pronounce. Plus, there's this whole thing with magic sometimes and paranormal, where if you know something's true name, you have power over it. So, of course, Toby is not probably the demon's true name. It's probably just something so they can call him something. But anyways, we're led to believe that the demon in question with the main character of Paranormal Activity, the marked ones, is Toby. But I've always had the suspicion that there's more than one of these demons. That this cult has summoned a group of demons. Because if there was only one, well, why would he make so many deals with so many people? It seemed to be like an ongoing thing, not just limited to this one cult or this one group of witches. And yes, there is witchcraft, there is possibly cults, so there is a lot of room that can be explored with telling other sides of the story, which takes me all the way back to the end of Paranormal Activity 4, that if you watch the end, it seems like there's a huge line of demons that have been working on becoming human for some reason over the centuries. And they always get these witches to summon them so they can get mortal bodies. So there's a lot of room to speculate and theorize about. That's what makes this franchise one of my more favorite franchises in the horror genre. While I do like a lot of others, this is just kind of seeps to the top due to that reason. It's not your basic slasher. It's not your basic haunting. It's a little of both in a found footage kind of way. And they always try to change it, one up it. Plus, not only that, this was what replaced our long absence of Saw movies. For several years, we got a new Saw movie every single Halloween. But eventually, I guess you could say that Saw just kind of hit a dead streak. People, I don't think we're really getting sick of it. I think it's just like, another Saw movie. Well, I guess I should go see it. I've already seen the other 7, so I'll go see 8. So Paranormal Activity came along, and it was a whole new fresh take. A whole new fresh genre that we could use in the horror franchise community to fill Halloween. Okay, so the best way or the proper order to watch these movies as it currently stands is Paranormal Activity 3, Paranormal Activity 2, and like I said, with this movie, you're going to stop it about 10 minutes or so before the end of the movie. When you see the character Katie pulling up to her house to talk to Mika, her boyfriend. At that point, you'll stop the movie and watch Paranormal Activity 1. After you finish Paranormal Activity 1, go back to Paranormal Activity 2, then finish the movie. Then you're going to watch Paranormal Activity 4 in its entirety, Paranormal Activity The Marked Ones, and Paranormal Activity The Ghost Dimension, which will finish out this series. Now, I think as far as future movies, I'm pretty sure they're just going to keep going in a linear order. Although we do need one that maybe fills in a gap of time, which you'll clearly see from Paranormal Activity 2 to Paranormal Activity 4. If you are a horror fan and you have not seen these movies, I implore you to go watch them as soon as possible. Even though I've spoiled some things, trust me, there's a lot I haven't spoiled, and I think you will really enjoy it. Also, every October, I try to put out a short story for Halloween. If you like to read, or if you just want to read something quick and short that's a good, interesting story for Halloween to put you in the Halloween mood, click the link below and check out one of my short stories on Amazon. I want to thank you all for watching, and happy Halloween.